It's Lexi Shindy here, and I'm with my aunt, Henny Shindy.
Yes, my name is Henny Shindy. I'm married to Lexi's uncle, and I'm originally from the Philippines. So, Tagalog is my first language.
Okay.
And but I do speak a few more dialect besides Tagalog.
Okay, how many other dialects do you speak?
3, but I understand 5 altogether.
What age did you first start learning English?
Well, I was actually 7 because
Oh, wow.
when the Americans liberated the Philippines from Spaniards, that's when they started implementing English in the school system. So it became our primary language in school. In my case, because I lived in a remote, it's a poor remote village far from the city, where teaching materials, resources were very limited, and it was hard. Learning English was a challenge.
So, what age did you first immigrate to the United States?
I was 17.
Do you feel like when you came over when you were 17 that you still had, a lot of struggles
Oh,
with
definitely.
English? Okay.
Definitely, because when we were learning English at school, we were practicing it while we're there, but when you go home, you still speak your language. So it's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
Learning it and practicing it in real life situations aren't the same.
So when you first started learning English, was there anything that you felt like really helped you to learn it?
Yes, I remember in school, our teacher said if we don't speak English, we need to pay, I think it was a quarter.
Oh.
So you are forced to speak it.
Okay.
Otherwise, you'll have to pay. And if you don't have the money, then you're going to try hard to speak it. And that really helped the students.
Because it kind of created an immersive
Yes.
experience where everyone is speaking it, so you have to. Okay.
Yes, exactly. But when I go to the city and I would go to somebody's house who has TV, and they have an English movie, then I would imitate it. I would try to imitate the accent.
Do you feel like you have an accent?
Oh, definitely. I have it. I still have the accent. I catch myself all the time. But it's not heavy. It's not heavy where people can't understand me.
Oh yeah, not
Yeah.
at all. No, not at all. Are there any words that you're like, I can't say that word, or I know I say this word incorrectly?
Yes, there is one. For the longest time, and I just found this out recently. So when I say whisper or whisper,
okay.
so it's supposed to be whisper, I say
Do
whisper.
you feel like there's any grammar rules that apply to your language, your first language, that when you started learning English, you would try to apply it and then it just doesn't, or they kind of clash? It just doesn't make sense?
Yeah, because it's just, well, what stands out right now is when because we don't have a specific gender pronouns. So if I'm referring to a male or female, I switch between he, she, back and forth, and so whoever's listening to me who's not Filipino, they're confused because you just said you're talking about a male, but now you're saying she. So I have to explain myself that we don't have gender pronouns in our language.
When you were first learning English, did you notice if there were any connections between English and the Filipino language?
Definitely the alphabet, because we have the same.
Oh, same alphabet.
It's same alphabet, but we only have 20, so we borrow from English alphabet. For instance, if we want to name our kids Alexis, and we don't have X, so then we would have to borrow from the English alphabet.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but it's the same.
Since you know so many different dialects and languages, when you're speaking English, do you ever accidentally switch into a different language?
Not English, but the dialect.
Oh, between the dialects.
Between the dialect, I do it a lot.
Okay.
So if I'm speaking to somebody who is in Manila and they only speak Tagalog, but I speak two other dialects, I would speak in Tagalog, but then I would mix it with another dialect. So then I have to correct myself because the Tagalog person does not understand what I'm saying.
When you first started to learn English, did you have any like inhibitions or anxiety about using it?
I was excited. I wanted to use it. I was fascinated with it. But of course, I was still intimidated because in my mind, what if I'm saying it wrong, or what if what comes out of my mouth sounds stupid or or silly.
Mm-hmm.
So then it held me back, but at the same time, I was excited to learn.
Did you feel like there were any stereotypes about individuals from the Philippines when you came to the United States?
Yes, they still have it. I mean, stereotype, that's part of life, and
yeah.
We make judgments about nationality, appearance, gender, and everything else. So when I came here, I was actually bullied.
Oh, that's terrible.
Because maybe they thought that I just came here and I didn't know any English, but I understood. So I knew what they were saying, I knew what they were doing, and I was called. I've never heard this word before, but I was called gook. Gook. I don't know if I'm saying it right. So I go home and I asked. Could have been my mom or dad or maybe my sibling. I said, "What is gook?" Somebody called me gook. Hey, gook. And they said that's derogatory for Asians. When I came here, I think I was more excited about my new life, and I've always thought that America was like a paradise, and that everyone here is nice, and it's just beautiful country, beautiful people.
Do you feel like you have a different perception of yourself when you speak English versus when you speak like one of the dialects in the Philippines?
Somewhat, because when I talk to my fellow Filipinos, we are comfortable. We can make jokes and it's funny. But then you can't do the same when you translate it in English. It's not funny anymore, or it doesn't come out the same. So yeah, it's somewhat different.
When you think about like your family, like do you like in the Philippines, is it more customary that you do things for yourself? Like, oh, I'm going to college, or I'm doing this for myself, or is it for family?
It's more for family, and children are motivated and eager to go to school so that they can. It's culture. It's a cultural thing that we feel like we owe our parents, and we pay them back by going to school, get a good job, and support them until they're gone.
Is there anything, like looking at future teachers that are going to have lots of kiddos in their classrooms that English isn't necessarily their first language? Is there anything that you'd want those teachers to know about those kids?
They are in a lot of stress. If they just came from their country, they're confused, they're afraid. They can be intimidated and afraid. But what would help them is when teacher make them feel at home, make them feel welcome. If you could learn a word or two of their language, and that will make them feel comfortable.
Okay. The biggest thing that I learned from this case study was that students that are learning English, no matter their level of proficiency, are always going to experience inhibitions. Even Henny said she admired English, she had looked up to it and thought about it and dreamed about it her entire life. But even when it came time for her to try and use it in real life situations, she was still scared and still nervous that she might make a mistake. Or as she said, that someone might think she sounded silly. So just keeping that in mind with my future students, that the reason that they might not be speaking or writing is not necessarily that they don't know how to, or even that they don't want to. It might just be that they're scared to. Another thing I really took from my interview was how she emphasized the importance of making your students comfortable and feeling accepted and welcome. Even if you could just learn one or two words in that student's first language, that could make a huge impact on them. So that's something that I plan on doing, even if it's just good morning. I can learn good morning. All of us can learn good morning. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed my case study. Thank you.